Here we are. Here we are. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Australia, America, and the UK, respectively. This is Kat, and this is Rachel. Rachel Hayward, paranormal consultant, investigator, has lived in a haunted house. Good Lord, you've got a hugely massive, fascinating backstory.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, I've got questions written out, but I haven't had time to read your book, and I'm still.
That's okay.
You hear me bark here and there. I'm still croaky and everything. Yeah. Oh, this thing actually worked. The dual screen thing. I'm not good at this stuff. I'm appalling at
Me
this.
neither. I'm in IT. My job's IT, but I'm useless at it. It's quite funny, really. So
yeah, I have to get people to help me with that stuff. I'm really bad at it. But yeah, good Lord. Now, so first off, have you lived anywhere else other than, I mean, you lived in Lock House, but did you live anywhere before that? And did anything happen in anywhere else?
no,
And like,
I was born
were you
in.
born there?
I was born there. Well, I was
Yeah.
actually born in Cliveden House, which back
Oh,
then
I should take
was.
myself off camera. I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's okay.
Hang on, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was born at in Buckinghamshire at Cliveden House, which is now a hotel. Well known for the Profumo affair, if anybody remembers going back that far. And then I lived at Cookham until I was about 21.
21. Karen's here. Hi, Karen.
Yes, Karen.
21.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so, Lock House. So, could you like a lock house? That is an actual. There's lock boats.
Yeah.
I know that. So, lock is sort of a. It's a sort of a gate or something.
No. It's a lock is basically
it's
there to help,
like a canal gate or something.
Yeah, it's basically there to help boats navigate the river. And they're usually built where the water is particularly turbulent for whatever reason. There's 45 locks on the Thames, I believe, if memory serves. And ours, Cookham, is a midway. It's halfway between Windsor and Henley.
Wow.
For those that they're sort of two well-known places.
So many. Yeah, I saw Rick Stein. I love his show sometimes here and there when I have time. I'm not doing other stuff, but yeah, I saw Rick Stein on Lockboat somewhere, and I thought, wow, that looks really cool. I'd love to go on one of those. And I don't think we have those over here. I mean, we have paddle steamers and stuff. Ferries and things, but we don't have those. And a lock house, what is it old?
Yeah, it was built in 1731 from memory. So yes, very old.
So there's a ton of history there. Do you think that what's there is it attached to the history, or is it attached to your family? I mean, how long have you been seeing this stuff for? You've seen a lot too.
Yes, I mean the lock itself. Some of what I saw there is relative to the area, and I've had that in the last 2 years. This has actually been proven because there's been an archaeological dig very close to where the house is, and it's actually brought up a lot of evidence which supports some of what I saw, which I didn't. Well, as I said, nobody knew about. There's a monastery that's been found very close, which had been lost. Basically, they knew of its existence, but never knew where it was. And that's been found in the last 2 years. And it transpires that Cookham was a major port. Probably, I say probably, it's been now known as the most important port of its time in medieval period, outside of London.
Yes.
There's a huge amount of history. Other stuff that I saw there, I don't believe was related to me or to the lock. I think it was just there.
It was there before the lock So it was attached to the monastery or attached to the land or
Possibly, yes.
something.
Yeah.
And you've experienced smells and all sorts of things, full-bodied apparitions. I mean, I saw as a kid, but I saw something at age 5 or 6 that totally shut me down, and I couldn't see anymore. So, but can you still, do you still see things? And
I do from time to time, yes. We were at Chillingham Castle last
I've heard of
September.
that one.
Oh,
I
it's
think
an
it was most
incredible
haunted,
place.
that one.
Yeah.
That I saw most haunted years back. Yeah, they did that, I think. Yes.
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 No, we were there. We had there was a group of us when Corinne, bless her, organised it all. We were there for I think it was 3 or 4 days. And the first night of investigating, we did like a tour for health and safety reasons. And we ended up in King Edward's bedroom, which was meant to be the most haunted place. I have trouble with walking now. So basically they left me there. They continued the walk. And then they joined me with sort of equipment about 10 minutes later. And basically the room is it's a medieval bedroom. I think there's a bed in there. There's a table laid out with as if people are going to eat, and there's a couple of mannequins. And I was in the room for about 10 minutes, all fine, not really any problems. And the girls came back up with the manager, and they said, "Oh, are you okay?" And I said, "Yes, the mannequins have been keeping me quite happy, you know." And the events manager was there and said, "But Rachel, there's only one mannequin." And I swear there were 2.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of mannequins.
No,
I've
I'm
had
not either, to be honest. But
I've had a few scares with that.
Yeah, no, one was dressed, the real mannequin that was there, that was dressed in a suit of armor. And the other one that I saw, because it was quite dim, the lighting, to me looked like a monk. But when I turned around when the others arrived, it had completely vanished.
Wow.
Bizarre, really bizarre.
Wow. So there'd be a heap of deaths attached to a monastery, I dare say, because I've heard stories I've heard horrible stories about those over there, like nuns and monks being walled up. And
oh god,
yeah, I mean, I don't know if we had that over here. We had tons of babies buried in the grounds of orphanages, and prisoners buried in unmarked graves, and clients in asylums. They called them clients, but they would have been a stack of brutal history. Hang on, Karen's got another comment. Oh, and by the way, Karen, thanks for jumping in. This is really nice to have a chat with you, because we actually, I haven't chatted to Karen often. It's nice to have a chat with anyone, actually. Yeah, but so what happened? That you did? Do you know who the monk was?
No, apparently the manager, Nicola, she said sort of once I'd got over the shock, she said that this had happened before with other people, including herself. So
wow.
That was quite good to know that it wasn't just me going mad, but but yeah, Chillingham has a huge history, absolutely incredible, very bloody history as well, which I really recommend it if anybody wanted to go there. I really couldn't recommend it enough.
Yeah. Now I suppose going back to Lock House, so you suspected when you first moved in there straight away that it was haunted, or when did things start to happen? When did
my parents
My
parents moved there, I think it was in about 1967. And I was born in 1969. I did have 2 brothers, but when I was nearly 6 years old, my eldest brother was killed in a car crash. And the following year, after my dad had redecorated everything, I then moved into his room. And it was from about, it must have been about sort of 6-7 months after I'd moved in, give or take, that I started to see things and have a conversation with a particularly horrible I say child, but I was a child. This apparition that I saw, I would put maybe somewhere around about 15 years old. But really not pleasant. It was worrying enough that my parents dragged me off to the doctors. And then I was brought up on a dose of there's no such thing as ghosts.
Yes.
So they sort of tried to bring in like child psychiatrists, but my dad was having none of it, and just said that he and mum would deal with it, which really wasn't any good at all, because when, if I was upstairs on my own at all, that's when I sort of experienced stuff. So
but so I was going to go on to that. You had some were there good times as well as bad, I think. Yes.
Oh my God, yeah, definitely.
And the ghost was attached to you. It seemed to hang around you a lot or something. So
yeah, I mean, strangely enough, a few years ago, I was talking about it with my brother and his wife, and she admitted then as well that when they had been living at the lock while their house was being made ready, shortly after they'd been married, and she saw something as well. Which she saw a figure in their bedroom. She woke up and it was standing sort of in their bedroom by the window, and it scared the bejeebus out of her. So, I know it wasn't just me that witnessed it, and other friends that stayed as well. They hated staying there because it was always bitterly cold. It didn't matter how warm the place was, and they always felt very, very uneasy.
Yes. So, did it dislike anybody in particular? Did it take a dislike to anyone? Anyone in your family, or?
Yeah, me mainly.
I couldn't see that. You're really nice.
Well, I thought so as well, but I don't know whether it was because I was the youngest.
Maybe
the lock house is on an island.
Yes.
The actual lock is between two islands, and in the summer, spring and summertime, sort of April to September, it's a massive activity. The rivers was really busy with boaters, so it was good. But in the winter, you could, if it wasn't for like leaving the area to go shopping, or in my case going to school, you could go 6 months without seeing anybody.
Wow.
So it was, I mean, my theory is that everybody knows of the stone tape theory. That's a very common one, but back in
sort of thing,
one of the ones that it came about sometime in the 70s and 80s, but seems to have gone out of fashion, is the water tape theory.
And I've heard of that. I was thinking about that the other day. Wasn't that Babbage or someone? Babbage or Babbage? Lethbridge? I can't remember. Yeah, I'm sick and I've got a fuzzy brain, but it was someone.
No, I know the feeling.
Charles someone. But I've heard of that. Water and rocks too, or and rocks. Yeah.
And
Sabrina Price. Sabrina. Hello, Sabrina.
It's my teammate. There she is.
Hi, Sabrina. I recognise her picture. I do.
Yeah, she's wonderfully unique, is our Sabrina. Once seen, never forgotten.
She looks quite. I like that, actually. I like unique. Normal's boring, I think. And what's this one? And she says, hi, darling. And I think normal's boring. Yeah, but go ahead. Go ahead. So we were talking about, reasons. The water theory. That. So that's you adhere to that because it's on an island and it's surrounded by running water because that produces energy. Something.
And you've got, one of the things that always fascinates me.
Is here.
Who is
here?
Who is he? Yeah,
Karen,
one of the theories that fascinates me with water is that you could be drinking, because of the way precipitation works. Your glass of water could have been helped to have, I don't know,
Yes.
watered the crops of ancient Egypt and things like that, because it all goes round in a circle.
Yeah.
And you just think the what is in water, especially like silicon and things like that,
different minerals.
It's going to pick up from all over the planet.
Yes.
So,
that's actually really cool. I mean, yeah, I think that's a really good sort of hypothesis, because I mean, we're all energy, and I'm a big fan of the Schumann resonances, as everyone knows, of course. I think that has a lot to do with it. But yeah, so and I was trying not to laugh, but Karen says about the Sabrina, I think that she can she's seen a rocking chair move on its own. Yeah. Oh. Now, yeah, I was going to ask about do you have any past researchers that you admire? And I mean, and we've got to talk about the Hayward Method. We really do. That's awesome. I love experiments. That's the thing that Kev told me about, and I was fascinated. I was, wow, that's really cool.
It's actually it's come up with some really fascinating evidence that I can't explain. I mean, basically, you use a Ouija board, and then down one side you have the 5 main Zener cards.
Yes.
We found you don't put the square and the circle together, because for some reason that seems to confuse those. But then you take the same card, well, another set of 5 cards, and without looking, so behind your back, so everybody else, nobody sees the cards, you mix them up, and then you choose one card, again without looking, you show it to the room, but still maintaining that nobody can see it, and then you ask the spirits to whatever card you're holding up, if they can match.
That's really cool.
The card on the Ouija board, moving the planchette or the glass to that board picture.
Yeah, that's really cool.
The hit rate is around about 35%, and when it works, it is amazing. And it's when it works, we've had it like I work it out on a 5 scale, so you've got 20% to reach the 100%. So you've got 5, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. And when it does work, it will work constantly for that period. And I can't explain it. And somebody did.
Is there any particular places that it's worked in the most? Are there any places that
it seems to work
significant or something?
It works the best. So we found in places of almost like learning or knowledge. So in libraries, in county halls,
schools, things like that.
I've never used it in a school, so I couldn't say. We've not investigated a school, but anywhere where there's been some kind of intelligence working. I've tried it in prisons. We don't get really anything. I've tried it in castles. We tend not to get anything, although on one occasion we were doing it and it spelt out the word boring and then pushed all the cards onto the floor.
Karen says something that pub near the River Severn in a church crypt. Okay.
Oh yes,
What's that one that she's saying about? That was one they were just.
So we first tried this in a pub on the Severn.
Yes, I'm sorry, I've got fuzzy brains.
And that's the first time that she saw it, because we had people on the other side of the pub holding up the cards. That's the new in. Thank you, darling. And it was working there. We couldn't work it out, but it was bang, bang, bang. We were getting the right results. And then I understand that Kev and Corinne and some others did it with, I think, picture cards. The same thing.
I am so
picture cards.
And I've done picture books and stuff.
Yeah,
picture cards.
And they had the same results. So yeah, it's fascinating.
you think it's location appropriate sort of thing? It doesn't work in prison because
It
they're not interested
seems
in,
to
I
be.
don't know, it's interest related sort of thing, related to the interests of those that might have been there or something like that.
Possibly,
Yes,
yeah.
Karen, picture cards. Yes. Yes. They're cool flashcards, little things. And yeah, I use
That's it,
envelopes.
yeah. Flashcards, yeah.
As well. Now, actually, I've got to go way back because I did have a few questions. Going back to when you first stepped into the field, did you have mentors? Did you reach out to anyone? And did you have, what were the results from
No,
that? Or
is the
who did you
honest
reach out to?
answer.
There wasn't many to, yeah.
No.
Or
My first
what kept you
I would
interested, I guess,
class
would be
as an
the
investigation of
yes.
sorts was when I was
Yes.
16 out
Yes.
of the house, and I went to Hampton Court Palace and spent an
Awesome.
afternoon sitting in the long gallery waiting to see a ghost, which I didn't see.
That's the notorious one, isn't it? The long gallery.
Yeah,
Yes.
you supposedly see Henry VIII has been seen there.
Wow.
So it was basically, for me, I mean, you're looking now at sort of the late 80s. There was no internet. There were bricks that were mobile phones, but had nothing on them.
Yeah,
so
my mum had one of those. My mum had a few of those.
Yeah, so I suppose if anybody sort of helped, I suppose would have been a gentleman by the name of Peter Underwood, who has written some fantastic books, and it was his books that I sort of read and sort of could understand his methodology, could understand what he was talking about. So yeah, I suppose really, if I had a mentor in the form of a book, that would be it.
It would be Underwood.
So it would be Underwood, yes.
Yeah, so I guess we could go on to what would I talk a lot about mental and physical toolkits. So you're a bit old, you're very old school, you're not a fan of gadgets.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. I'm a bit of both, but yeah.
No, I'm voice recorders always. I always carry those. Cameras, night vision if I think it's appropriate. Sometimes I don't even think it's appropriate. So I use like the animal trap cameras.
I like that.
It's there are no ghost detecting devices. So
exactly.
Most of the devices that are out there have lots of pretty flashy lights on.
Flashy beepy things,
And I don't see the point of them. They might, some things are useful, like knowing the temperature, obviously, when you're doing baseline checks. But I don't know. I haven't seen anything concrete from them.
You've not had WTF moments with gadgets? I call them, where something happens and you go,
yeah, I have.
I won't say that out loud because it's.
But I can't find them conclusive.
Yeah,
you can't because it doesn't happen because we're not in a scientific laboratory. You can't look at them and say, well, it worked then, so therefore it should work at another place. Because I know they're fun. You love them, yes.
Yeah, I love experiments with them. I do because
I mean,
I love the old school stuff.
Try things out. Don't get me wrong. But I'm not going to spend a load of money on something that you can't tell whether it starts bleeping because it's faulty or because you've got an apparition or some kind of intelligence in the room.
Yeah, exactly. Or because Sabrina Price says, can you see her comment? I'm sorry.
No, I haven't seen that one.
I'll show it on my screen. I'm sorry.
He loves the pretty lights. Yeah, so does Corinne.
Yeah. I like the colours, I do, I've got to admit. And I don't like the noises, though. They're annoying. And Wes is here. I can't see Wes.
Is he? I'm Lorian.
Lorian,
which
page is Wes on? Yeah, which page is Wes on? Where's
no idea.
I've got you on. I'm on Cat in the Shadows and Spirit. And who's that? Karen Desant says pretty lights. Yeah. And I mean on YouTube. So have you got anything? Are you sharing to anywhere at all? Yeah.
Me, no.
It says, where are you? Wes? I can't see anyone. I can't see anyone except see anyone except Karen, Lorian, Sabrina, and Kev. That's the only, and yeah, that's the only people I can see. Wes, yeah, but go ahead. I'm trying not to bark here. Come on, Wes, jump in and say hi. Ask questions, folks. This lady's awesome. This is a really cool story. I mean, I had only good stuff in my home. I was, Wes is watching. I had only good stuff happen in my home because I had a little ghost boy that was my friend, and he used to move stuff around. And he'd play my toy ukulele thing that was way out of reach because I was knee high to a grasshopper.
Okay.
Yeah, and the thing that scared me was, I think I talked about that already, but good Lord.
We have in this house, we've got, although I haven't seen her for a long time now, the spirit of a little girl who,
wow.
She's been seen by me, by the kids, and by back in the day, the childminder. And she was always seen in a long white nightie. And after doing some quite difficult research, because although we're in the Forest of Dean, the details of the previous occupants here, it doesn't come under Gloucestershire for some reason. It comes under Monmouthshire, even though we're not in Monmouthshire. And there is reports of a child being burnt to death because her nightie caught on fire. And that's the closest I can get, which would have been either this house or the one just up the road, literally the next house along. But I haven't, as I say, I've not seen her, but she was lovely. She used to just run around. My childminder was convinced that my youngest had sort of snuck out of school and had come back in the house because she'd see her run past, and then because this little and this spirit had fairly long curly hair, which the same as my youngest did. So that was quite weird. She used to be seen either running around the ground floor or swinging on the banister. So but she was harmless, quite. Just used to run around and play.
I've had mostly good stuff. I guess I can't see anymore, but I've had mostly good stuff happen, with in my childhood home, and we have them here, and they play tricks and they hide stuff, but other than that, they're polite, and
No, the one that I say one, I'm not convinced there was just one.
Yes,
I was thrown downstairs, things thrown around quite frequently, books, things like that.
I was actually going to ask that because you seem to be somewhat of a ghost magnet. You attract a lot of stuff.
I don't know whether I do or not, but
Karen's got a funny comment. Well, you seem to have had that's a really good thing for me, I think. Karen says 95. Do you think people? I mean, you seem to. I mean, I seem to sometimes. Do you think that some people? Is it an energy thing? Do some people attract more than others?
Possible. Yeah, I know when myself and Kim and Sabrina are together, quite often we'll get a lot of activity.
Like it's maybe a group energy thing too.
Yeah. So I don't know. Apparently, according to Corrine, I'm quite scary. So maybe they see it as a challenge to try and scare me back. I don't know. So
you don't look scary.
I don't think I'm scary either, to be honest. But Corrine seems to think I am. So.
Sorry, I'm trying not to bark here. I have a habit of scaring people, but that's because I don't move very noisily. So I have a habit of. Karen says Rachel scares me. I have a habit of scaring people, but some people seem to attract ghosts. Now tell me about the other stuff you had happen. Noises, smells. Pardon me. Coffee burp. In the UK, ghosts are scared of Rachel Gibbs.
Yeah, could be right. I think one of the for smells, one of the strangest ones was at a theatre funnily enough, in Monmouthshire. And we were investigating there. And for some reason, whenever we go there, we get very, very little, to the point that we don't go there now because it just seems to be quite flat. But the first time we investigated it, I was in the foyer with my daughter, who's a member of the team as well. And we had to call other people because just to prove that we weren't imagining it. But there was this incredibly strong smell of like a lavender perfume, and it wafted down the stairs past us, so that it was a smell that was actually moving, and then through the doors into the theatre. And it was eye-wateringly pungent. Absolutely one of the strongest things I've ever smelt, of a pleasant kind of smell.
My mum loved lavender.
We've been in, I'm trying to think where we were. Oh, the famous Woodchester Mansion.
I've heard of that one too, yes.
It's an amazing building. I can't work out the activity there, but it is an incredible building. And Corinne and I were there. Oh, she'll put it up and tell us. I can't remember. I don't think it was this year. I think it was last year. And we were in the pulpit area. So we were off the ground. I'd say maybe sort of 15 feet up in this pulpit. And we had the absolutely vile smell of like rotting meat.
Yes.
And it was like, okay, we think we've upset something, because it just was it was making me retch. It was that bad. I had to leave the area.
So you've had good and bad stuff happen. I was going to ask about that, like memorable places that you've been to. Like you've been to Israel and where else was it? Tunisia. So where else have you been? Have you got ones that stick out that are both good and bad? You know. And where the hell is Wes? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
Places that I've gone or investigated.
This is fascinating. Shepton Mallet, Sabrina says.
Yeah, that was impressive. That was nice. Israel was lovely. I lived in Israel for the best part of a year. Went out on a short holiday and just decided not to come home till I ran out of money.
Karen.
Go ahead.
That was Karen's comment. The Bible.
Oh, yes, it could have been. Yes.
But Israel. So
I lived in Israel for the best part of a year, which for the most part was beautiful. We'll ignore the history and what's going on there at the moment, because I've got my own opinion on that. But we were in the Golan Heights in the north of Israel. And I did do a small investigation there. There's just on the outskirts of the kibbutz where I was staying, there was some remains of vehicles from the 6-Day War. And I did an investigation inside the remains of a tank. We are talking about in the middle of nowhere. And I was up there on my own during the day. I know I was on my own because my shift pattern where I worked was different to everybody else's. So everybody else was still at work and I'd finished. And during the investigation that I did, I distinctly heard footsteps around the outside of the tank, and something banged on the exterior shell of the tank quite hard. So that was quite fascinating. Tunisia, I did an investigation in Carthage and got absolutely nothing.
Carthage, that would be cool, because
it is an amazing place to visit, really is.
So have you been to other? I mean, have you been to the US? Some other people?
No, I've never been to the US.
I mean, where have you been? You've been to, sorry,
neck of the woods.
Oh, you have. Where have you been?
Well, I've got family in Perth, so my aunt lives in Perth. So when I was younger, she was living in Melbourne, so we went to Melbourne, and then she now lives
That's
in
where I
Perth.
live.
We
I live
went
in
over about 20 odd years ago.
I live in Victoria. So yeah, whereabouts in Melbourne did you see? Have you been to anywhere locations over here, sort of thing? And did you? Yeah, I
No,
mean,
I
I want to
haven't.
hear.
No.
I haven't known you for very long, so I want to hear everything that you have seen. And yeah,
Yeah, no, I
yeah,
didn't do any investigations in Aussie because I was
yeah,
with family.
yeah,
So it wasn't really appropriate, to be honest,
yeah. So it was a
unfortunately. But
visiting
there are
sort of thing.
some lovely,
Yeah,
there are some wonderful places in sort of in Perth that I would like to have investigated. The jail
yeah.
there is meant to be quite something.
Yeah, I think Lloyd said something about that a while back when I asked him. But yeah, yeah, there's places in Perth that I want to see as well. And but yeah, you've definitely got to get back here again. I mean,
Yep.
yeah, and good Lord, other places in the UK. How many? You've been in this 40
Oh,
years.
we've
I mean,
done loads. I mean, we've been let's say Chillingham,
yeah,
Edinburgh as well. Fantastic place to do the vaults. I
Edinburgh. Yes,
did a tour of Nidri Street vaults, and
yes,
we had a child cry. And both myself and the guy that was running it, we heard this child cry between
yes,
us as if it was standing in the doorway. So that was amazing.
yes. So you started out, I guess, going back to. You started out as sort of a solo. Did you work with
Yep.
other teams as well? Yeah. Or you started out
Um,
as by yourself and
I used to investigate by myself, and
yeah.
then in 1994, I moved from Berkshire to Gloucestershire.
Yeah.
And my kids were quite young, so I kind of took a break for a bit. Also, didn't have a lot of money either then,
Yeah.
and then started going out with a local team.
Yeah.
Really was not impressed, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I witnessed fakery, and
Yeah. I don't
we
like that.
left. It was like a group of us, even though I was working on my own.
Yeah.
You kind of start seeing the same people sort of every time you go out.
Yeah.
And they came to me and said, they were complaining, and they said, well, why don't you set up a team? We'll join. And I was like, oh, right, okay, then I'll do that then, shall I? So we formed
Yeah.
Rope. I think it was 2011 or 2012, something like that. And
Yeah.
been going strong ever since, really. So
Yeah. So how many of you are there in Rope? I mean, and
um
you have people from here and there and
yeah, we are
what
a small team.
you're sort of scattered about.
No, we're all local,
Are
except
you
for
local?
my daughter.
Okay, yeah. Oh, your
She's
daughter
moved
works with
to
that's lovely.
London. Say again, sorry, Kat.
Your daughter works with you. I said, that's lovely. That's really
Yeah, she
good.
does. Yeah,
I'm
not so
joking.
much
I'm sorry.
now.
I'm being snotty and
So
stuff.
she's moved to London,
Yeah,
so she doesn't come out with us very often. But there's
yeah,
technically there's a hardcore of three of us. So it's myself, Sabrina, and Kim, and then
yeah.
we have another lady called Karen that joins us from time to time.
Not Karen Bessa. That's
No, no,
Karen.
no, no.
Yeah,
It's another lady. But
yeah,
I work on the process, on the principle of, because we are a small team,
yeah,
I know that we can trust each other
yeah,
explicitly. It's
yeah,
perfect. But because we move in the circles like everybody else does with the paranormal,
yeah,
you get to know a lot of other people. And so
yeah,
if we have something that comes in of interest, I can then sort of say, right, I think Kev would be really useful for this because I needed
yeah,
a skeptical head, or I
yeah,
need Karine, or
yeah,
there's a guy in Wales that we work with from time to time called Mark. Um,
yeah,
so we can, been doing it so long that you actually work out who you can trust, who you get
yeah,
on with,
yeah.
who has a similar
A similar
um,
approach to it sort of thing, or a similar.
approach and
Yeah.
is ethically minded and honest.
I mean, I liked Karen's idea of Project Genesis. That
Yeah.
everyone working
Oh, that's
together.
brilliant.
I guess that would be relevant because I was going to ask, do you think? What do you think? Why do you think? or is there? Do you think there's a difference between the way they approach investigations in the UK compared to the US and other parts of the world? I mean, it seems to me you guys are really diplomatic. You guys are all polite, and if you disagree politely.
Yeah, I'd hope we're polite.
Well, you are.
I can't speak for other countries with the exception of what I've seen on television.
Yeah.
And
it seems there's a lot of power plays and egos and
there's a lot of power plays, and
but there doesn't seem to be involved that in the UK sort of thing. It doesn't. No. Yeah, I don't know.
No, I mean we were involved in some of us were involved in a documentary, which is now on Amazon Prime called My Ghostly Footsteps.
Oh, I've heard of that one. I've got to watch that. Oh, Karen Besant says. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I love that. I really do.
No, it is good. But yes, so that was that was a documentary, and that was from the point of view of the director and producer, a guy called Guy, funnily enough. So he was just trying to find out if what he'd witnessed and experienced as a child, whether that followed through, whether he could find any evidence or anything similar, sort of in the modern day. So, that is the only thing I've been involved in as far as television's concerned. I have to admit, in 2007, I did appear on Most Haunted, but less said about that, the better, really.
Well, I've never really seen that. Sabrina Price agrees with Karen. Yes, I do too, Sabrina. I love that idea. I really do. Yeah, but you're a consultant. So you get consulted by private businesses, people in homes, TV, radio.
Probably not so much as Karine and Kev do, but I've been consulted with a local council, and there was one case. I'm working on a case at the moment where the main activity seems to be in Manchester. So in the new year, we're going to have to take a trip up to Manchester.
Private sort of thing, but I mean that's
and then I was another case that I covered for just under a year was in Cambridge. But I couldn't, because of health and safety reasons, I couldn't actually step foot in the property because one of the eldest child had a lot of mental health issues.
Oh, yeah.
And had I have turned up there, he was homeschooled. He only actually was out of the house for 2 hours a week when he went to like a day centre. But if he was incredibly regimented, so if I'd have turned up there, it would have set him back considerably.
Sort of an autistic thing or something.
It was, right? He was very high on the autistic spectrum, and he had tendencies of violence as well. So
so do you think? I mean, I heard that epileptics attract activity, or they have more happen. Do you think that could be relevant to autism, sort of thing?
It's possible. I mean, the situation at the house there, it was kind of twofold. When they first moved in, they'd been living there from memory about 2 years, and somebody had knocked on the door one day and told the lady that lived there that her house was full of ghosts. And the woman, she was like, "I beg your pardon," whereupon this woman produced a photograph of the cellar and said, "Look, there's all these spirits. We were called in to do an investigation. You've got loads of spirits in there." She sent me the photograph where I very calmly said to her, "No, you've got in your cellar, you have a freezer, you have a washing machine, you have a tumble dryer, you have
energy,
a light, and you haven't, it's quite dusty." I said, "And what you're picking up in this picture is just detritus. It's dust, it's bits of cobweb, whatever." So we managed to resolve that with some good music, actually. A bit of Beach Boys solved that issue. Because to me, that was just about changing the atmosphere in there, because she hated going in there. So I said to her, look, put some music in there, keep the remote control in the kitchen. And when you need to go in there, put the music on, sing really loudly to it. And you'll find that will help. And it did. What was going on in the rest of the house was seemed to be poltergeist activity, where items of importance were being moved.
Hang on, I've got a cough for a second. I'll just mute my mic. But go ahead with what you were saying. I'll mute my mic.
Oh, look at that. Pause, silence.
Yeah.
You
go ahead. Sorry. I'm okay now. I'm not dying. I'm okay. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Things that were being moved were her mobile phone, car keys, and medication. Which was quite interesting because the medication was being taken out of a cabinet that was kept locked. So it was. She was usually finding things either in the freezer or under a rug, but she actually deliberately hid the things so that the kids couldn't find them. Bear with me a second. I've got cat issues. Hold on.
That's okay, love. I'll mute my mic as well. Do you want me to meet you?
No, it's all right.
Oh, that's okay.
So she basically she hid the items to check that the children weren't moving the items. And she couldn't explain it. We kind of kept a log for about 3 months. And it seemed to be almost childlike. It was like a game of hide and seek.
Very paranormal gift. What? Oh, Kev.
Bear with me a minute.
You said the cat.
Oh,
Kev.
Get out. Sorry about that. I've got myself locked in the bedroom. So basically I sort of said to her, the best thing to do is to, obviously ignoring it's not working.
Hi, Will Sargent from America. This is my friend from Arkansas. Yeah, go ahead, love. Sorry, I'm sorry. Just had to say hi to Will.
Okay.
So
basically I said, look, you're going to have to speak to this spirit and set some ground rules. It's your house, your rules. So she basically, when the kids were either in bed or at school or at the day centre, she sat down at the table, had a seat there and invited whoever it was to sit on the chair and came up with this plan between the two of us, really, that she would say good morning and good evening to it, but it had to stop moving things, because if a child needed to get to hospital, if he had a fit, because apparently he suffered with epilepsy as well, if the car keys had been moved, she wouldn't be able to get him to hospital. And after about 6 months, it all stopped. It slowed down. I stay in contact with her. I speak to her sort of once a year, or she messages me. She's since moved, but it's all been fine.
Wow. Now,
so that was really fascinating. But the house itself was an amazing property. I would have loved to investigate it. It was built for a hangman.
I love your architecture over there. I really do. We've got beautiful stuff there.
Yeah.
Bucket list stuff for me. And it was built for a hangman.
It was built for a hangman who apparently wasn't very good at his job.
And hang on, Kev, we'll get to Kev's comment in a second.
I didn't see that, no. And it had a blocked off underground passage that ran between the house. It ran under the graveyard to the vicarage. So I actually spoke to the vicar to see if he was getting any activity. And he said no, his was fine. He said he wasn't getting anything at all, which is why I don't think it was related to the history of the house at all.
Yeah. Kev, what did Kev mean by? Were you
I
going
don't
back to
know.
what you were talking about? Yeah, would have been better if nothing was there. Kev, are you still there? What? Yeah. What was that about? And Lorian says you've got a ghost behind you.
Is that the one on the door, Lorian?
Hang on. There's Kev Kerwin. She opened the door.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Wait till this weekend, Mr. Kerry. I've got to hear about this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's happening this weekend?
Yeah. 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 I like that you guys working all together. That's a really good idea. The door swung open. It's somewhere.
Yeah,
where was that?
I can't show you, but actually
What
laying
is
on the floor is our dog.
What is a vicar house? Will says. Vicar house.
It's a house where the vicar lives. Who's the vicar of the church?
The priest sort of thing, yes. Sarah's booked the weekend away, Karen says.
Ah, nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I
it's
love
my
that.
birthday weekend, so I'm going out. So.
Oh, lovely. Happy birthday. I hope you have a great
Thank you
time.
very much. Yes.
Oh,
sorry, Lorianne.
Vicar. Priest.
There you go. There's the dog lying on the floor.
Oh, doggy. I love it. Yeah. And Will said vicar, priest. Priest, I think. Priest. Pastor. Yeah. Happy 60th for the weekend. Will says, oh, yes, there are. Yeah. You guys all we have different terms to you as well. You know, we call them vicars and priests and pastors and fathers and all sorts of things and rectors. And yeah, I think we have, you know, vicars over here, and Karen's laughing over in the background there.
Yes, because Karen's telling lies. It is not my 60th this week. You
I could mute my mic again for a second. I'm gonna bark. Yeah. Now, I guess what actually drew? Were you always drawn to the scientific side of things, or you know what? Yeah, I guess that's the best way I can phrase it with my mindful.
I don't think so.
What drew you towards the
Paranormal method?
Was it what happened to you? Yeah, Rachel will. Was it what happened to you as a child? Rachel will kill me. I will be a ghost.
Yeah, you will be a ghost.
Yeah. Was it what happened to you as a child that drew you to it?
I think so. Yes, it was the desire to find out the truth.
Yeah.
Which when you're young, you think it's going to be nice and black and white, and it's only as you get older you find out that there's lots of different colors between the black and white.
Yeah.
I've always tried to use a method.
Yeah.
I don't consider myself as scientific.
Yeah.
I don't consider myself as spiritual. I just, to me, you're going in, it's almost like doing a job. You have a method, you have a way of doing it. Try and keep to that in virtually every location, so that any results you can get, you've got something to actually measure them by. It does sound quite sciencey, actually, doesn't it? But I don't think
it does. But I mean, you sort of, I mean, I do the same. I approach from a spiritual and sort of a science. It's a sort of a dual thing, you know, because you have personal experiences as well, and then you have you have to, of course, try to validate stuff and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, of course, you know, our bodies are our tools sometimes. So yeah, it's a weird sort of a balance to find. But
it is, definitely.
Yeah.
And there's so many other things that you have to take into consideration, and it would be quite interesting to sort of to do like a dual investigation of a similar location in, say, Australia as opposed to the UK. Just to see, for instance, how the weather affects it. So if we both did, I don't know, a mansion or a hospital, it would be interesting to see how the weather may cause any different effects.
Yes. I was actually thinking about that. I was going to talk to everyone about that. You know, everyone going live from a few places here and there at some time, and see the energetic focus sort of thing as well, you know, to see If people like NGHD sort of thing, that sort of thing. Yeah, National Ghost Hunting Day sort of thing. But yeah, that sort of thing. There's been a lot of CME activity at the moment. Sun coronal mass ejection sort of thing activity at the moment, which is going on. Gary told me. So that sort of thing I think would affect it too. But yeah, and you like experiments, I dare say, because you invented that awesome method.
I'm within reason. I'll try anything if there's a chance of getting a result. I think you've got to look at things from all angles. I don't mind. I might not go out and purchase the kit, but I don't mind sitting there talking to a flashy device if it flashes back as answers. If we can prove that it's not a faulty battery or a faulty machine, I'm quite happy to give it a go.
Anything?
Nearly anything, maybe.
Yeah. I love experiments, that sort of thing. But I guess that would lead into you. So you approach it from a dual sort of thing. Good Lord. Your team all think alike. So, and do you adhere to any other sort of hypothesis with what ghosts are, other than in this sort of a form of energy, or do you just keep it neutral? Or I mean, Karen said, well, the UKPS had something the other day about what sort of beliefs and belief systems and all that sort of thing. I commented on it about or who do you admire in the field, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
who other
I
than
don't
Underwood
really have any beliefs as such. I think there is, to quote Shakespeare, there's more between heaven and earth. There's a lot out there that we don't know. I think that I could pull the Bible to bits. When I was younger, I did sit down and, well, not sit down, but read the Bible from cover to cover, and found so many things wrong with it. It's ridiculous.
The hijack things.
I think we are all a form of energy. I think that we go on as a form of energy. And I think there's maybe it is. Cheers. I think there is possibly a higher power. I had a very weird experience. Have you heard of Dr. Cal Cooper?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cal's awesome.
He is. He's a lovely bloke.
You guys all are.
If you look in his book, Telephone Calls from the Dead, there is 4 or 5 pages in there of me. I keep cropping up in these places. Basically, without going into a lot of detail, because I'll start crying, and I'm not going to do that live on television.
No, it's okay. No, I don't want you to cry.
No, I don't either. I basically had a conversation with my dad in a field in Dorset 3 weeks after he died. Read the book to understand what happened. But one of the things that I asked my dad, and up until that point, I always thought if there was a God, it would be female, as in like Mother Earth and this sort of thing. And I asked my dad if there was a God, and his answer was yes, but it is more than you or anyone else living could even begin to understand. So whatever it is out there, I don't think we have a Scooby, to be honest.
I've had stuff happen with my stepdad who died ages ago, that sort of thing. But I don't want to get you going, and I don't want to get going.
No, I'm fine.
That I love that sort of thing, because those experiences, they mean a lot to, because it shows that something might be out there, and something is out there, that sort of thing.
I think the only time we'll know for certain is when it's too late to tell anyone, to be honest with you. So
exactly. Or maybe
I have got a request which my family are aware of, that when I die, wherever whatever the service will be, that there is an empty chair there with a K2 meter on, because that's going to be my chair, and I'm going to sit down because I want to see who turns up, because whoever doesn't turn up, I am going to haunt the hell out of. So that's my cunning theory there. So
this is a bad chat to have when I've got a cold. I'm going to start laughing. No, that's okay. I love it. It's fine. I'm half Scottish, so I'm mega stubborn.
Oh, yeah, I didn't realise that.
Half Scottish and parts of bitter. And Will Sargent says we have not even scratched the surface. No, we haven't.
No, we haven't. No.
Yeah, we haven't. There's a lot that we don't know about. Like Shakespeare said. Yeah. Good Lord. Now, we were going to talk about AI and the paranormal. That was something that you messaged me about the other day.
I did, AI. Yes. I thought this might be quite a prudent time.
Erin says it's really enjoyable talk, and Sabrina Price says I'm not going to turn up so you can haunt me.
Oh, you're going to rue the day you said that, Sabrina.
Yeah. So AI.
In the summer, there was an international photo competition.
Yeah.
And this guy won the photo with a portrait, black and white portrait photo, and it was beautiful. And the contest was judged by photographic experts. And when he went up to get his prize, he refused it and basically said on the stage that the picture had been created by AI, and he entered it to prove that now not even experts could tell the difference between a real photograph and one created by artificial intelligence. And I think that, okay, aside from the paranormal, I think that this is a really worrying, could have real problems. But with the paranormal, I think it is leaving the vulnerable so open to abuse, and it really worries me. So what I was going to ask, if anybody could invent a digital camera that cannot be interfered with by AI, they would make an absolute fortune. Because
Steve Parsons, I could do something, guys.
Yeah, you never know.
You guys do something. Yeah, but that would be great. I mean, I was going to say about, because I downloaded ChatGPT. I mean, there's intelligence, but there's no emotion. I don't know. Do you think is that a good thing or is it a bad thing? I mean, it allows it to be neutral completely, but
all technology has its place. And when it's used correctly, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
But when it's abused, you have an issue. They have already I think it was, I can't remember if it was A levels or university degrees. But the
Rach moved your camera. Rach moved your camera. Keep showing up and we can only see her.
Sorry. Try that. Sorry. But they already said that the people marking the exams have already said that they can tell that there is quite a large proportion now of people using AI as a method to cheat, but they can't prove it. And it's scary. I think it could be that means you're giving degrees to people that haven't actually learnt their subject.
Yes.
Which could then be a doctor. Do you want a doctor operating on you if he or she has used AI to pass their exams?
Yes.
Do you want a lawyer to sort of look after you in court?
That's bad. And for an investigator with, private homes and people.
Exactly. I mean,
they want to know that they can trust us and that we know stuff, that we haven't cheated.
Yeah. The ability now to take photographs and add things to those photographs. It used to be you could tell.
I don't like that. I can't use Photoshop to save my life.
No, I can't.
Not even
I can't. I used to look at a lot of photos for some reason over a period of about 5 years, going back 15 years or so. I was sent hundreds of pictures. over the
Yeah.
course of a few years. And you could tell which ones had been altered, played with.
Yeah. I don't.
Now it's almost impossible.
Yes. Yes.
And I don't think it's going to be very long. I reckon even within the next 2 years, it's going to be impossible to tell the difference.
And that
If
makes
a
us
photo
harder.
publication of a portrait,
Yeah.
if the experts couldn't tell that, then
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
If experts
really quite
yeah.
worrying. I think there's a lot
Yes.
of unscrupulous people out there that are going to use it for their own ends,
to gain fame and
regardless of the trauma that
so
it causes other people.
The famous such and such photo or whatever, that sort of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, I don't like that because it makes us look bad. And I mean, there's been I think over time, would you say there's Kev Kerr says unless you train AI to tell the difference. Yeah, Kev Kerr says. Yeah, I don't know much about AI. Admittedly, I've not even downloaded Photoshop. I've not even tried that. But yeah, do you think it will learn to tell the difference?
If it can learn to tell the difference, then we're in real trouble. Because that means it can think for itself and work things out without it being programmed.
Without thought, without emotion. I mean, that's scary.
I just think it's something that investigators, honest, genuine investigators, need to be really wary of now.
Yes, absolutely.
Because there are so many people out there that will charge, that will do virtually anything for their own egos.
Yes, that's really, and it makes us all look bad.
It does.
Collectively makes us look bad. And I'm not a fan. Big on it. ChatGPT is interesting sometimes, but it's quite skeptical sometimes too. Okay. I've asked it about here and there bits and pieces about the paranormal world. It's here and there, it's all right, but it's accurate here and there, but it's skeptical sometimes as well. Good Lord. Now we could go into what, good Lord. Continuing with AI, I guess. Do you think there are any good points to it? Is there anything good about it at all?
Yes. I mean, as I said, it's like anything that if it's used for the right reasons, it is good.
Yes. Yes.
It's a good learning tool as long as you use it as a learning tool and not a cheating tool.
Yes.
It has, I mean, as I said, I'm in IT and I know nothing about IT really. From what I can see, yes, it is safe. But it's like anything. It's the worry of it being abused.
Yes. So how would you go about using it in the right way?
How would I use it? That's the thing.
In the right way. If you did try to use it, what would your approach be to it?
That's a good question.
I just thought of it. I don't know how I thought of it.
It would be useful, I think, for research. If it could work out because it would save a hell of amount of time looking at geographical layouts, extensions, add-ons of buildings, ages of buildings, the different geology of the area, things like that. It's something that it could pull together really quickly for you. So as a tool like that, yes, I think it would be great.
Yes.
But it's when you start manipulating fact. And that's when it worries me.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, I mean, I think there is benefits, but of course, it does take somewhat a skeptical approach here and there. So, I don't know. It's hard to find a balance with it, I guess. I guess I've got questions, but we go all over the place. I tend to do that quite a bit. So going back to, you've read a lot. You've read a fair bit, I dare say. Books that are your favorites, that sort of thing. Reading list, past authors, that sort of thing. SPR, going into the past ones and then present ones. We've already been an hour and 10. I didn't realize that.
I know we're getting on.
I've
started reading Peter Lawes, which until I was at the ASAP conference, I hadn't read any of his. So I'm just working through one of his books, called The Frighteners. I'm also doing, I'll show you this one actually. I am a sucker for old
Actually, if you've got
books.
anything that you want to present on the screen, I can. I think I can.
No, I can show you this one.
Yeah.
Where are we? Oh, hold on.
Yeah, I can see it. Bad sentence.
Yeah.
Oh,
so it
cool.
is winter folk tales for grown-ups. So it's basically about European characters that come out
like
at
the
Christmas.
Krampus sort of thing, like the Krampus.
That sort of thing. Yeah, I just where's the camera? There we go. That's the back of it.
Oh yes, there he is.
There he is. Yeah. So I'm doing some research on that at the moment, which is quite fun.
Yes. So you're planning other books and things. You're going to write about more of the things that have happened to you?
I'm toying with the idea. I've written a lot of fiction.
Advertise your own book, woman. Kev says yes. Yes.
Oh, yes. All right. I haven't got a copy. Hold on.
We've got to get to that for sure.
Oh, look, there we go. I can publicize my book. There we go. It's the only copy I have. There you go. That's me. And that's the Lock House.
Yes.
So
I've still got to get to reading it, but yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I'm thinking of doing a book of fiction of some of my short stories and poems.
Oh, cool.
And putting them all together.
I think, didn't you post something the other day, a poem or something that you...
Yeah, the dark, inside the dark mind of Rachel Hayward, I think I might call it.
That was cool. That was really good, actually.
Yes.
That was quite good.
So I've also been writing some articles as well. I've written 3 articles in the past month.
Yes.
One on the... on an excerpt of my book regarding the monastery and the port at Cookham and how that ties in. I've also written an article that is about a lady who was hanged in Herefordshire, which if you read John Fraser's book, Poltergeist.
John Fraser, yes. I haven't spoken to John in ages. Sorry, John.
Oh, he's a lovely guy. Yeah. It's in there, but we did some research. So from the information that we got from the Poltergeist communication, we were able to narrow down who this was. So I've basically written an article telling her story. And then I've got another article that's written, but I need to get some photographs of the last witch to be tried in England, who was a lady by the name of Ellen Hayward, no relation, who lived in the Forest of Dean.
That's a cool coincidence, though.
It is a cool coincidence. Yeah, I'm quite sad, actually, that I'm not related to her, to be honest. But she's buried in a town not far from here, so I've got to go and get a picture of her gravestone.
Wow.
So yeah, so that'll be sent out quite soon, as soon as I've done got the photographs.
So those go to your website? Like where
no, I've sent 2 out of 3 so far have gone to the Haunted magazine.
Haunted. Oh, you write for Haunted as well.
Well, I haven't done, but I got nagged into doing it, so I've sent off a couple to those. And I'm not sure where I'll send the 3rd one yet. I haven't thought about it yet.
Yes, I dare say CJ would pick it up.
Possibly, yeah. I might even send it to the ASAP magazine.
Yes, I'm in that one, and I work for the competition. I joked. I work for the competition. Yeah, but we're not. We're all in this together, and this is cool stuff. This is really good. I really like this. Except I still have neurotic issues when articles are out. I obsess, and but
it's easy to get like that. It is easy to get like that.
It is, oh, did I make a typo? Did I word this right? That sort of thing. Yeah. Now can we go into a little bit more detail about Lock House? Other incidents that you can detail? I mean, we've had a fair few similarities but with yours somewhat bad and mine were mostly good, is there any more detail that you can add to that? Because I love this story. I really love this.
There was two things. I mean, there was lots of things that happened, but there were two main things that happened. One when I was 13, the other when I was 16.
Yes.
The one when I was 16 is easier to explain than the one that when I was 13. You'll have to get the book and read it, but
I have. I've got it. Yeah, I've got to get around to reading it.
So basically, I would have been 15 stroke 16, probably 16 just turned. My mum was, funnily enough, in Australia visiting her sister.
Yeah.
My dad had gone to the like a warehouse to do the shopping. It's called Nerdin and Peacocks, because we ran a shop off the river, so we bought everything in bulk basically.
Yeah.
And I was studying for my O-levels, and that night I had English and maths to do, and I was working downstairs because there was no heating upstairs at all. It's a single brick skin house. It was freezing. So I would do my homework downstairs on the dining room table, and I'd left my books in my bag upstairs, so I had to go up and get them. And as soon as I had left the lounge and got to the bottom of the stairs, the whole atmosphere changed completely. It was frigid cold. It had gone from normal house cold temperature to incredibly
cold,
freezing.
Yes.
I legged it up the stairs. Never ran. I mean, I can't run anyway, but I legged it up the stairs, grabbed the books that I needed, came onto the landing, and I thought, oh, okay, it's fine. I've imagined it. Everything seems fine. And literally, I had my hand on the handrail to go down, and this hand just came from behind me and just slammed onto my left shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
Really, it wasn't a gentle touch. It was a wham. And I could see,
good Lord, yeah,
the fingers on my shoulder. I could look down and I could see that the hand, the end of the fingers,
yes,
on my shoulder. And in my mind, I saw this hand, and I saw the wrist, and I saw the elbow, and I couldn't see anything else. It was as if that was all there was just this floating arm, and it had slammed onto my shoulder, and I literally threw myself down the stairs to get away from it. I was terrified.
I think I would too, actually.
Absolutely. Yeah. As I say, nobody was in. I slammed the door in to go back into the lounge, and to be honest with you, I found some of my dad's whiskey and just had a large gollop of whiskey. I was absolutely terrified.
I think I would too.
And I sat there, and when he came back, I can't remember how long he'd been, about an hour or so after that. Yeah. And I refused to go to bed until he went to bed. I wouldn't go up the stairs on my own.
Yeah.
It was, it was. Oh, I seem to have all the animals in here now. That was quite frightening. Which is, it's strange because I don't get frightened now if I'm out. I'll do a lone vigil. I'll go off on my own. I have no qualms about it at all.
The only thing that gets me scared is bugs, mostly spiders that move.
Oh yeah, I don't do spiders. I don't do
spiders that move. Spiders that move.
You've got too many of them over there. You can keep them.
Yeah, but some don't
have ours
move
as well.
Some don't move. We got 2 black house spiders that live in our bathroom window, and they're quite harmless. They're okay. They just sit there. They don't move. They just sit there and eat bugs.
No, I don't even do that. I can remember when I was out in Aussie. It was for my 21st birthday. We were sitting on the veranda, and it's quite dark. I was having a beer with my cousin, And he looked into the darkness and he went, "Oh, that's a big one." So I'm peering into the garden, going, "What are you looking at? I can't see anything." He said, "Oh no, the hunter behind you on the wall behind you." And I looked, and it was like a blooming dinner plate just sitting by my shoulder.
Yes.
You've never seen me run so fast in your life.
Oh Lord, they're massive. They are massive.
I don't do spiders.
Yeah, they're massive. I do the house spiders I'm fine with, but ones that move, it's a get out. This is not your place.
Yeah. Give me a snake. I'll deal with snakes, not a problem. But spiders are a no-go.
Yeah, snakes, I'll stay well away, but spiders, ones that don't move are fine. Steve Parsons said flamethrower in our chat.
Yeah,
that's all.
Yeah, I would be a flamethrower.
Yeah, I mean, so was there any fun times or funny experiences there as well at the Lock House that happened to you? I mean, there was a lot of hostility there.
There was a lot of hostility as far as the paranormal was concerned.
Yeah.
But no, we had a lot of fun. One of the perks, I suppose, of living on the river was you got to meet a lot of people.
The boats, yes,
the boats.
Karen
and you got to meet a lot of famous people.
Hey, all about the famous people, yes.
Yeah, so I was quite lucky when Virgin Radio started. I think it was Virgin. Richard Branson he'd hired a boat called the Edwardian. It was a massive steamer, and I was invited on there. So I was dancing with just about, I don't know, Bananarama, George Michael,
awesome,
all sorts of people like that. I was talking to someone, they said, "Oh, have you got any photos?" It was like, no, there were no cameras allowed. There were certain things going on the boat that the press would have loved. So no, didn't get any photos. But yeah, Morecambe and Wise, they were regulars coming through the lock. Which was a nightmare because Eric Morecambe was just so funny that you just couldn't work. You just laughing. He was terrible for mucking around. Throwing things in, pretending people were drowning and all sorts of things. And it's a nightmare. I also met the now deceased, not so pleasant president of Zimbabwe, Mugabe. I met him.
Oh yes, he was not.
He came over. He was staying with what you could loosely call was our neighbour, and our neighbour lived on the mainland and was, as the crow flied, about a mile away. And our neighbour, I don't know if you've heard of him, he's dead now, but his name was Tiny Rowlands. He used to own Harrods before the I can't remember what they're called now.
I've heard of Harrods, but
yeah, he used to own Harrods. He was a multi-millionaire. So Mugabe was staying with him, and I was introduced to him, and it was a big hush, not allowed to tell anyone. Various politicians used to be, you'd have people like that, and musicians as well. Always remember the Bee Gees coming through the lock, and they'd hired a boat with a lot of children with Down syndrome on.
Lovely.
They basically were giving them a party, and it was just fabulous to watch.
That's nice. Now, but with the ghost, did it ever do anything nice for you?
No, I never had anything pleasant. No.
Why do you think it resented you? I mean, is it just that it was possessive?
I just think it was because it could.
Did it resent you? What did it have a grudge against you for?
I don't know. I think it just wasn't pleasant, and
just mean in life.
It had found a victim, I suppose, and it saw me as easy prey.
A bully. I don't like that. Yeah, I don't like that. Wow, Aaron, bloody hell. Wow, we've been... I can talk. I think the Sudafed's kicking, but I can talk a heap. Good Lord. What else? I've got questions. But so we've done current work, memorable cases, most memorable. We've done those, have we? The ones that stick in your mind the most. Have we covered those?
I think
or you mentioned them already.
Obviously, Chillingham was one that will.
Chillingham, yeah, one
Castle, St
yeah.
Breville's Castle, and Gloucester Prison. Every time we've been there, they have been amazing. Gloucester Prison, in particular, that one of the first times I investigated there was a group of us, 6 of us together. There was 4 of our team and 2 other ladies came with us, and we were in a room that had been used for strip searching the prisoners. And we were in this room, and you could hear a man breathing heavily. You could smell his breath. It wasn't pleasant, and the women didn't like it because, according to them, he had touched them a couple of times. So they said, look, we want to leave the area. So I said, okay, that's fine. So I basically said to this spirit, I said, well, we're going to go now. I said, because you've upset my friends. I said, but personally, I find you a bit boring. So we left that area and we went into one of the cell blocks.
Yeah.
And we were the only people in the cell block. There was nobody else in there at all. And it's a big cell block.
Yeah.
And as we're walking along, we're hearing banging. So we all stopped and we're all looking at each other, and we can still hear this banging. And it was as if somebody was knocking loudly on the rail.
Wow.
And Kim said, I think it wants us to follow it. I said, it's like blooming Narnia, this, let's go following things.
Into the wardrobe, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So we went along a bit, and this banging, tapping, it stopped outside the cell. Yeah. And Kim said, I think it wants us to go in there. I went, well, go on, then off you go. So she went in there, and she said, oh my God, she said, you've got to come in. She said, it smells like dirty old men. It smells like BO and stale cigarettes. She's like, you've got to come in. It's disgusting. Yeah. I walked in, looked at her, and walked straight out again. Yeah. And she said to me, she said, oh, did you smell it? I said, no. I said, I didn't smell anything. And she said, oh, why did you walk out? I said, because between you and me, almost as an impression over her face, I could see this oldish man who had dirty grey hair, big sideburns, the ones like this, and really lanky, hanging over. And it was like he was leering at me from under this hair. And I walked out, and there was another bang on the rail. And I said, was that you that I called boring? And it banged again. And I said, okay, you got me. You made me jump. And then it banged really loudly.
Like and it was maybe, or
that was quite bizarre. That was a good interaction. But yeah, that was fascinating. But again, Kim couldn't see it. She couldn't see what was between her and me, and I found that really fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard of. Some people can see and some people can't. I mean, the SPR had that sort of hypothesis with infectious telepathy, and some could see and some couldn't. But yeah, that's really cool. So you've had good and bad stuff. So memorable. Yeah, this is really awesome. I'm sorry. This is great.
It's certainly it's weird because I in many respects I have seen enough to say I could give this up now. I have the proof that I need. It may not be proof for anybody else, but I have the proof that I need. But then I've gone a year now without experiencing anything. So then you have that little bit of doubt starts creeping in, and you're like, I need to do it again to almost to verify something. And I always find this is how it seems to work. You can go ages without anything. Yeah. And then you seem to get just as that point where you're thinking, I've had enough, I'm going to give up. It costs too much money. Yeah. That's when you seem to get something else. So it just keeps you going.
It keeps us. Yeah, I was going to say, that curiosity, that wanting to see what happens that keeps us going.
Yeah. Another thing that happened, which was in Devon, and Kim and I were there. I have never believed in table tipping. it's always to me been like a Victorian parlour trick. Yes. Kim witnessed, Dr. Kieran O'Keefe was there. I don't know if he witnessed it, but he witnessed some of the poltergeist activity. But I saw table tipping, like just this table was going round the room. It was a solid oak table. And at one point, it literally tried to launch its way through the doorway.
Wow.
Never seen anything like it before. There was, oh God, Bill and Sean, the mediums that are part of the charity that we're involved in. They were there as well. It was phenomenal. And I just cannot explain it.
Yes, I was going to ask about that. I mean, truly unexplained things. I ask the same questions of mostly everyone on my show because, you know, there's things that even though we might be skeptical about some things, I think there are things that we truly can't explain. I mean, I've had a few. You've had a lot.
Yeah.
You've had a hell of a lot.
I mean, this was, but you know, this was visual and it was witnessed by so many people. I mean, at one point we said, because we changed areas, and I said, right, we're going down into like the dining room area. I said, why don't you come with us to this entity, whatever? And in the dining room, all the tables were all pushed up against the wall. And there must have been 20, 30 tables. So we said, right, let's see if it's here. Let's grab a table. So some of the people said, right, they grabbed a table that was right on the edge, you know, nice and easy to get. And I said, no, I don't want that table. I want that one at the back. And they were like, but we've got to move all these tables to get to it. I said, yeah, exactly. I want that table and I'm going to examine it thoroughly. I said, I want to check that there is no radios attached to it, no magnets, no pieces of string.
Karen, got to go now.
The whole lot.
Thank you for coming, Karen.
Bye, lovely. See you soon.
Thanks, Karen.
And the table was just an ordinary table. Yeah, it spun round that room.
Awesome.
Like you wouldn't believe.
Awesome.
And was witnessed by multiple people. It was amazing. I have no idea. Cannot explain it.
What would you class as your worst experience anywhere? Would it be the smell or the lock house thing?
The lock house. Nothing has. Yeah, nothing has come close to that.
Yes.
In places.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know about. I've had bad feelings, but I've never really reached my fear point yet. I don't know. Good Lord. I guess could we go to, well, it's an hour and 32. What are you what good Lord, is there anything else that we can add to the AI? What would you use AI for? If you were to use AI, what would you use it for?
Probably, as I said before, probably as a research tool.
I'm tired and my brain's foggy, but
probably just as a research tool, to be honest.
Tool. Yes. Oh, good Lord. Experiences, books, research, reading, watching, listening to, bucket list. Where are places that you want to go to?
If money
you've got
was
to come
no
back
object,
here, of course. You've got to come back here, of course.
Yeah, obviously Perth or Aussie.
And Victoria.
Of course, yes. The Queen Mary. That's. Yes. I would love to investigate the Queen Mary. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that would like to do that as well. That's one that has got such an amazing history to it. I'd like to go back to Chillingham Castle. That has the darkest, bloodiest history, I think, of any castle in the country. And we barely touched the surface with it. The Overlook Hotel.
The Stanley.
Yes, the Stanley. Yes. That I would love to do. the facts, regardless of The Shining, the actual facts and history of it is amazing. So yeah, there's somewhere I would love to go. And also Leap Castle over in Ireland is meant to be quite a good one.
Yes. Yeah, there's so many for me too, but I won't talk about all of those, of course, because there's a ton. I haven't even been over there yet. And yeah, I've listed about 200 or so, I dare say. Good Lord, reading, watching, listening to current stuff. Were you fans of, everyone's talking about Uncanny at the moment. Have you watched that?
I have watched it, yes. Have you seen it?
Not yet. Yet. I have. I don't think we get it. I can get it here, but yeah, I haven't had time.
Yeah, you should be able to get it on iPlayer, I would think, if you can get the BBC.
I haven't had time over here. I've been sick.
It's quite refreshing, actually. It's a serious review investigation, and it was quite refreshing to watch. It's certainly not like the majority of the other programs that are out there.
I want to check it out.
Yeah, I would do it. It's quite fascinating. It's quite interesting.
Watch the show as well as the podcast, or is there a show?
I have listened to the podcast. Yes, the Battersea Poltergeist and the Farm, Hale. I can't remember what it is now. Hale Gwynham Farm.
Yeah.
Something, I can't think what it's called. Yeah, where that was quite fascinating. But yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? It's historic. So even if you're speaking to people that were involved in it, there's no activity there now. Where that both on the Uncanny ones, they went to one of the locations, which was had a new family who had no activity there at all. So yeah, I find it quite fascinating how it changes.
Reading. What do you read at the moment? What are you big fans of at the moment?
What am I reading at the moment? At the moment, I do a lot of Audible books because I find it's easier to listen to Audible books, and I will read one fact, or I'll listen to one factual, and then I'll read fiction. So at the moment, I'm finishing off Peter Law's The Frighteners. And then after that, it will be the new Stephen King book, Holly, which
I love Stephen King. He's amazing. He's my favorite. He's fantastic. He's really good.
So that will be my next read.
Wow.
But I have this really lovely bad habit of buying old books on
so do I.
and first editions, and one of the ones that I have recently finished, which I'm not sure where I've put it, it's a first edition. It was written in the early 1700s, but it's a transcript of the Pendle Witch Trials.
Awesome.
It is. It's an awesome book.
Fantastic. Just hold something like that.
Yeah. So that was really interesting. So yeah, I'll read anything on that covers sort of from medieval to particularly the Victorian era as well. I'm fascinated with.
So do you have other interests aside from do you do UAPs and cryptids? Are you interested in that sort of stuff?
Not so much UAPs.
Your main interest, ghosts and hauntings.
Yeah, mainly hauntings. Cryptids fascinate me.
Yes.
And I think, as far as the paranormal is concerned, I think it's going to be, that's where the biggest jump is going to be, because we now have the ability to fly drones remotely. I think they are going to be the ones that are going to find out, not hopefully, but sort of prove the Sasquatch or the Yeti.
Yes.
Because we can send drones out, and it's just now a case of getting how much distance we can get on them and being able to maneuver them over the various terrain.
That would be the hard part for me. I can't steer to save my life.
But I think that's going to be the area that's going to explode. And if any proof is going to be found in the paranormal of anything recently, I think it'll be there. I mean, the government are already gearing us up to the fact that there are UAPs. They've said quite recently here it's just a matter of time now. So they're even admitting that there is some kind of alien life.
There's something out there. Well, there's something out there. That it's just out there, just us here, I guess, in the universe alone. Plans for where are you going to investigate? Any other places that you've got on? Are you planning anything soon, or what are you doing?
Nothing now this side of Christmas.
Yes.
We are doing a Genesis in, I think it's January.
I love that idea. If we could do an Aussie thing, I'd jump on board with an Aussie thing too. I love that idea.
Yeah, you should. Cool. Yeah, definitely.
I love that thing.
Yes. Yeah, I've got a few things booked up across the country next year. We've recently done a hotel. A friend of ours, I don't know if you've heard of the George Jarvis School. There's a lady who runs an events company called Natalie Lawrence, and she has 3 locations which she's basically, although she doesn't own them, she's taken over the running of 3 empty buildings. One is a school which we go to quite regularly, which is it was a Victorian school. And
that's be a good place for your Hayward thing. Hayward,
it is. We do that quite a lot, both in the day and night time. She also has a nunnery as well, so we need to go back to there and investigate. And she's got a hotel, and we were there last week, I think it was. So we'll be going back to those in the new year as well.
Great. And you've got to get over here sometime, definitely, because I'd love to work alongside all of you guys. You guys have a really cool approach. I love Genesis, and I love your experiment. That's really great. I love experimenting.
Do you ever get over to the UK?
Not yet. If I get over there, I so want to go to anywhere over there that you guys would take me for sure.
Oh God, yeah, you'd be more than welcome.
So many. No, I've really got to use the little girls' room shortly, but plug your book and plug your work, and where can we find you? Where can we? Yes,
I'm not on the internet.
Website,
on the
YouTube,
web. I don't
Facebook?
have a web page because I've no idea how to do it.
Well,
so you can find me on Facebook, you can find me on Twitter, and you can find me on Instagram.
Yes.
My book
and your book, Amazon download, Kindle download.
That is on Kindle and on Amazon. Yes. The only difference with it on Kindle is that there's no pictures, whereas you do get pictures in this one.
Yes, so I've got to get the paperback too, because I like paper books. I like to hold them in my hands and everything.
Yeah, I do as well. Yes,
that's great. So, are you still doing consulting work at the moment? Or?
I've got one at the moment to say that I am doing, which is, although the family live locally, but they're the activity that's happening is in Manchester. So I'm doing a lot of research on that at the moment. So it keeps me out of mischief.
Why should you stay out of mischief?
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That's great though. Good Lord. Hour and 43. Wow. It's been really cool talking to you.
It's been lovely chatting to you as well.
I didn't think I'd be human for this long. I really didn't. But yeah, I really yes, I've got urgent business to attend to, but I should let you go too, because it's late over there, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it's 9:45 now.
Yes, it's late. I should let you go, and I should let B go too.
Yes,
and
definitely.
Thank you so much for talking, though, dear, and stick around, because I want us to all do something together, sometime like at a round table sort of thing. Because
that would be excellent.
You guys are all great. You're fantastic.
Yeah, definitely.
Who was that just said? Sabrina said, "Okay, nice to hear from you too, Shadows." Yes, it was nice to hear from you, Sabrina. PlayStation. Yes, my missus Sabrina. Those two. Alex likes those. Yes, you're a great lady. You've got a good approach. I really like it. But yes, thank you so much for jumping in.
Thank you, Kat. Yeah,
And
excellent. I'll
thanks,
speak to you
Kev
soon.
Kerr. Thanks, Kev Kerr. Thanks, Karen Besson.
See
Thanks,
you soon,
Laurie and
Kev.
Jones.
Take care, darling.
Thank you so much, guys. And thanks,
Thank you.
Wes, as well, wherever you were. Thank you,
Yes.
everyone. Thank you so much, Rachel Hayward. Thank
Lovely.
you very much. And I'll read your book very shortly once I'm
Good.
human again. I'm not snotty anymore.
You get well soon.
Yes, I will. I will. I will.
Okay.
Thank you so much again.
All right. You take care. Lovely to chat with you.
Thanks, everyone,
Okay.
for jumping in. Thanks,
Okay.
guys. Thanks, folks.
Thanks,
Good
guys.
night.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.